Yes.
So next is security group. You can say this is most important part of your VPC security group and NACL. So you need to understand properly the security group. A security group is a virtual firewall and it controls traffic at the virtual server. Virtual server means your EC2 instance level. So it is a firewall. It is a, you can a security guard for your EC2 instance, and this guard will decide which request will come to this my EC2 instance, and whether my EC2 instance will connect to some other person or not. So this EC2 instance security group will decide. So you have to provide some rules to the security group. So up to 16, 5 is default security groups per EC2 instance interface can be applied. And by nature it's stateful. That means return traffic of allowed inbound traffic is allowed, even if there is are no rules to allow it. So I'll explain about the stateful. Can only have permit rules. So security group have only permit rules and cannot have deny rules. Implicit deny rule at the end, all rules are evaluated to find a permit rule. So let me show you.
I didn't understand from the third point.
This one stateful.
No, the up to 16 security groups per EC2 instance
You,
interface can
you are,
be.
yeah, you are adding some security group to a EC2 instance, right? So the count of your security group can be 16. Up to 16 security groups for your EC2 instance can be applied. And this stateful means return traffic of a allowed inbound traffic is allowed. That means suppose someone connect to your internet. Suppose one is able to entry to your EC2 instance, then the outbound also allowed.
Can
Okay,
I assume it has some rules, the security
yes,
rules?
yes, I will show you one security group rules. I can show you this one. This is security group, right? This is a security group name SG this something, and this is a default security group. I can create a new security group. 1 minute. I can create one new security group. Here, I'm giving one name, my SG. Say description. Okay, no problem, and it can be in the default. Yeah, here there is two rules. One is inbound and one is outbound. Let me explain what is inbound. Inbound means the traffic comes to your instance. Suppose here is your EC2 instance, your EC2 instance, right? And you are here. You are here. This is your laptop, you can say. And you are doing some remote desktop, RDP, you can say. You are connecting one RDP and you have provided one password, right? And you are connecting to the EC2 instance. This traffic to your instance is called inbound. Traffic into your EC2 instance. This is called inbound traffic. And when you requested the EC2 instance, this EC2 instance is giving a response to you, right? This EC2 instance is giving a response to you, and this is called your outbound traffic. The traffic in called inbound, the traffic out is called outbound traffic. Okay. So for this outbound traffic and inbound traffic, you have to add some rule. Rule means some set of rules. Suppose maybe you are living in apartment, and you have some security guards or maybe some security officers will be there. So they will suppose one come to your house, they will inspect them. Where are you come? Maybe from Amazon or maybe from Flipkart, and maybe some particular agent, bank agent there comes, right? So they are allowing them by seeing their ID cards. Suppose you are like very much frustrated with this banking credit cards, then you can tell your security, oh, okay, don't allow these credit card peoples to my flat. So when the guard will see any credit card people, they can okay, they will not allow. They will tell your client is don't want to uh, communicate with you. So uh, they will not allow your those persons. So similarly, you can add some rules here so that there will be some inbound traffic should not allow, or maybe some outbound traffic will not allow. So let me create one rule, add rule. So for this rule, see, one type is there, one protocol is there, one port is there, source IP address and your description. So let me create one, select one port. So our port, suppose your EC2 instance only want to communicate for RDP, remote desktop. Suppose you are using one Windows system, and your Windows system should be accessed from outside. So you have to provide a rule here like RDP, remote desktop. Where is it? Remote desktop. Yeah, RDP. RDP means there is a port number. Port number is 3389. You select this, this will become 3389. This port is reserved for RDP, right? Using this port, and you have to choose some source address. So normally we are providing this one because anyone can internet your access, but you can also provide your IP address. Suppose you are having some static IP address, not dynamic, static IP address, you can also select this static. This is my IP address, suppose. So I can also give this, or maybe my company, maybe suppose I am working from one company, and those company IP address is like this, 34.89.7.67 by 32. That means only this IP address can connect to my EC2 instance through this port. Port means you can understand it's a gate, one gate. So there may be port ranging from 1 to 65535. So for RDP communication, this port is given. If you mention this IP 00, so anyone can internet. Those have your public key can connect. Private key can connect your RDP. Right. This is one option. And suppose you want to launch some service like some HTTP service or HTTPS service. So for that you need to open one port. So how can you open for HTTP? So there is a port 80. You can open this 80 port for all, or or you can open 80 port for all, but only communication from your own IP. So no one can communicate as a RDP connection to your system, right? But anyone can do a HTTP call to your system. So you can also add another rule like HTTPS, right? This is the inbound rule. Similarly, you can add outbound rule also. So normally outbound rules are to all traffic and the destination will be 00. That means my EC2 instance can communicate to anyone. This is the rule. Any questions here?
So it is kind of a blacklist. If you want to do some blacklist, you don't allow to some
No.
particular
This is,
IP address.
yeah, but you are allowing, you are not, that means except this IP, all are blacklisted. Only
Exactly.
you are allowing this.
Whitelist. Okay.
Yeah, you are whitelisting this.
Okay.
And blacklisting, by default, it blacklist everyone. Suppose you don't have
Exactly.
any
Right.
rule, you don't have any rule, that means no one can connect to your EC2 instance.
Correct.
No, I didn't get it actually.
Okay, this is the rules. This is the rules. So
If one is you set it to my IP, and
yes,
then I understand it as a range, but you're
yeah,
saying
this is a range. See, range is 32. That means only this IP. But our standard to provide the range like this way, some cider range. Suppose I will provide like this way. That means 2, 3, 4, 5 dot divided by 31. That means this is a range now.
yes.
That means 89.98, then after that 99. These two IP address will allow 98 and then 99.
Okay, you said, acha, that one you said divided by 32. Okay,
Yes,
understood.
32 means that IP. 2 to the power 0 is 1, so that
Yes.
IP.
Mm-hmm.
Is it clear now?
Yes, yes, yes.
And similarly, you can provide some IPs, and also for the source, I will explain. And okay, let me explain about stateful. What is stateful? Suppose here maybe there is no rule. I deleted everything. That means your outbound rule is no outbound rule is there. That means your system cannot connect outside. Clear? There is no outbound rule. That means your system, your EC2 instance cannot connect to outside. But here your security group is stateful. Stateful means anyone enter to your EC2 instance can go outside. Suppose you are doing some RDP connection or doing some HTTP connection, and if the entry is allowed, so by default the out is allowed. I cannot connect to any instances from my EC2 instance here.
Mm.
But if someone allowed, then definitely he will go outside. This is the rule of stateful. Stateless means if anyone enters into your EC2 instance, but there is some outbound rule is like reject that, so it cannot go out. That is stateless. Here stateful means if anyone comes, then go out. If any traffic go out, then he also come. Suppose for example, delete this, and delete. Okay, delete. And I am having one rule, all traffic 0, 0.
So
Yeah,
outbound rule is for the EC2 instance.
yeah, that not easy to understand. The security group will be applied to whom? Suppose this security group I created and apply to one instance, so that rule applicable to that instance.
Yes, but just now you said to I mean, for inbound through the inbound rules from outsiders connects to the outsiders connect to the EC2 instance. And
Yes,
if EC2 instance wants to connect to somebody, then it will use the outbound rule.
yes. Yeah, suppose my EC2 instance needs some patching update. My system wants to download some software. So how can connect? It will go outside the internet and download the software from the internet, right? For
Yes.
that, we need some outbound rule.
Mhm.
But I'm just explaining what is stateful. Suppose
State.
my outbound rule is open and I have communicated to internet. And as per my stateful, it should be my return traffic should come.
Hmm.
Though there will be no allow rule, but it will come because your security group is stateful. So I will discuss more questions on security group and NACL so that your like you will be clear on those concepts. Maybe it is confusing for first time, but if you discuss some questions and some scenarios, you can understand.
Yes.
Right?
The thing is that if I'm requesting something, then I should get a reply back. And if
Yes.
there's one inbound and there is no outbound, then how is it possible?
No, no. One inbound, then no outbound. What is your question?
My question is, if I am So you're talking about the software download.
Yes, you should
So
have a outbound, proper
yeah,
out.
so if I want to download a software, so first I will connect to outside, right? Connect to the internet,
Yes,
and then the response will come back to me through the outbound through the
inbound.
inbound rules.
Yes.
So if there is some inbound rule and there is no outbound rule, then
No,
how?
if there is no outbound rule, you cannot connect to outside.
Yeah, I cannot connect to outside.
Yes. So you have to provide one outbound rule for that. And normally we are providing this rule for outbound, all traffic, then 000, because our system, our EC2 instance can connect to internet, right?
So it is compulsory to have inbound and outbound rules, right?
Yes, if you don't give, then your EC2 instance will not communicate.
Yes.
This is up to you. And suppose you want that your EC2 instance should not communicate outside. So you can give, okay, my 10.0.0.0 dot by 16, or maybe, yeah, you can give this range, control X, and the port range maybe all, all traffic, right? You can give this rule. That means my local system can communicate with each other
Mm-hmm.
and no other system can communicate. This is the rule for your local communication, right?
Yes.
And the next is, you can use security group names as the source or a destination in other security group rules. This is very important point, that in the destination we are providing one IP address, IP range. Instead, you can also provide the security group of other other security group also. So I will explain what will happen for that. You can use the security group names as the source in its own inbound security group rules. Own inbound security group means the EC2 instance comes under that security group can communicate with each other. So let me explain. So if you see the default security group, there will be some, yeah, this is the default security group, all traffic. Yes, if you see this is your SGDA 72, this one. And the inbound traffic rule, see, all traffic, all, then the source is, instead of IP, only this same security group is provided. What does that mean? That mean under this security group, suppose there are 10 instances, they will communicate each other. The source is same security group means under that security group, all the instances can communicate each other. Is it clear, or I will explain more? This is one security group. This is one security group, name is SGDA72A9AF90, right? I have created this security group and given a rule like all traffic, all. Then in the source, instead of giving any cider block, I have given same security name. That means under this security group, suppose 4 instances, and all the instances having the same security group, and the security group name is this one. So I can say this security group, this is the security group, and the name is this one. That means all the EC2 instances can communicate each other under this security group, right? And here, if I give a security group another other security group, that means my security group instances can communicate to the traffic, the inbound traffic from other security group can come to my security group. That means the second example is, this is one scenario, right? And another scenario is my another group of instances here, and maybe some 4 instances, and these instances having one security group. Maybe you can say security group 3. This is security group 3, and this security group apply to all the instances. And I'm just editing this security group, and in the target I have given this security group. That means this is EC2 instance can communicate to these EC2 instances. My inbound traffic from these EC2 instances can be allowed. Sudhir, is it clear or any confusion?
I think it's clear, but for these guys like Mitali and others,
Okay.
even for me also, if we do parallelly, then it will be easy, and do some to understand, to try to access that, and if you won't give you it won't give access,
Yes,
then we
actually
can
for the demo it is like difficult. So for the
yeah,
demo it should take one day, one session.
right.
Okay, we'll discuss more questions so that you may clear. Right. Okay, let me explain again. So suppose in this security group, the inbound rule, inbound rule means this rule, and suppose this is the security group, and in the target, in the target I have given the security group 3. I am given this security group 3. Security group 3 means these all 4 instances can access to my instances under this security group, and under this security group maybe your instance 4 instances there, and for this inbound these instances can communicate. Security groups are directional and can use only allow rules. So security group have only allow rules, no deny rules. But in the next we will discuss about network ACL. So in that network ACL there will be deny rules. So allow rule means this is explicitly denied. So any rule given is your allow. That means suppose I already also discussed. Suppose there is
Whitelist.
yeah
We just
whitelist.
not discussed about the whitelist, and NACL will be a blacklist.
Yes. So whitelist means you are allowing. Blacklist means you are not allowing. Blacklist means you are just giving those information. Yeah, this Sudhir should not be allowed, or maybe some persons from this area should not allowed. That is deny rule. We are blacklisting that in NACL, but here is allowing. Allowing means okay, except this IP address, others should be not allowed. Explicitly denied. The rule is explicitly denied. Right, here is all traffic is allowed. See, here all traffic is allowed, but I can give a some set of IPs. Yeah, this IP should allowed. So except those IPs, others will not allow. Any EC2 created without specifying a security group for it during the creation will be assigned the VPC default security group. And each VPC created will have a default security group. So while creating one VPC, one security group will be provided by AWS. So you cannot delete that security group. Security groups are VPC resources. So security group not EC2 instance resources. EC2 will use that resource. So you cannot use security group of one VPC that cannot be used in another VPC. That security group is specific to that VPC. So from that VPC, any instance from different availability zone can also use that security group. Changes to security group take immediate effect. So if I change any rule, that will affect immediately. So any questions or any confusion, anything?
Yeah, if we could do some practical in the
Yes,
coming.
we'll do some. Okay, I'll request you to do one practical. Create your own custom VPC today, and custom VPC means like this way. Your VPC dashboard, right?
Mhm.
Launch VPC wizard. No, this is not. This is the launch VPC wizard. Instead, your VPC can go here and create VPC. See this button, create VPC. You can create a VPC and create some subnets. And once the subnet is complete, you can launch one EC2 instance and try to connect from your system. If you do that, then everything will be clear. If
Sorry,
any
can
problem,
you repeat the steps again?
you can create one VPC here.
PC.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, let
Then
me. Actually, I created yesterday, maybe last time I created. So you can
yeah,
create
but
some.
not in the recording.
Okay, not that session is not recorded.
No.
Anyway, you can create one VPC and try to create some subnet and try to launch one instance into that VPC and try to connect from your system, from your laptop. If everything works fine, that means you understood most of the things. You can try your own. Otherwise, I will from the first half of next session, I will try to create one VPC and I will show you how your EC2 instance will communicate. Right. But I request you to try a custom VPC.
Okay.
Okay, then we can